Welcome to Frankly Speaking. My name is Onkgopotse JJ Tabane. We're coming to you live from Auckland Park here at SABC. What a week it has been with the outpouring of grief across the country. Yesterday's send-off was befitting of a queen, with the heavens opening up to welcome her. Her daughter's tribute was heartfelt, as it was frank, with her denouncing those who are coming out of the woodworks to tell their story when Madikizela Mandela is no more. Julius Malema's eulogy was also something to behold, as he did not spare those who considered, those he considered to have sold out the mother of our nation. President Ramaphosa also did not disappoint, and he called on all of us to heal the wounds that Mama Winnie suffered in her lifetime. This is how we pay tribute to her.
I am deeply grateful to have known and cherished this woman that I call my mother. It is difficult to accept that she is no longer with us, because she was always so strong.
We are lucky to have witnessed her greatness, her courage, her fearlessness, and her strength. Let freedom reign. God bless Winnie Mandela. May you rest in the greatness of kingdom of God next to the most extraordinary people. I love you.
Winnie Mandela is our mother. We know her. We don't need George Fivers to tell us about Winnie Mandela. We don't need Stratcom to tell us about Winnie Mandela. We will celebrate Winnie Mandela forever, for as long as we are still alive.
Go well, Mama. May your soul rest in eternal peace. Ulale ngoxolo nobantu. Ngutshana, Papa, Makhalendlovu, Msuthu, Msengethwa, Qhawe lamaqhawe, uhambe kakuhle. The mother of our nation, Big Mama, rest in peace, and we will forever love you and remember you. Yabulela, thank you very much.
And a salute to all of you who came out in your thousands to fill up Orlando Stadium, and also those of you who lined the streets to see our mother off. Tonight we asked the question, is the DA serious about transformation, serious about diversity? Following the Congress, some interesting outcomes there about diversity were taken. They deliberated on, amongst other things, the land issue, and yet still arrived at the same conclusion that they do not support the current wave of euphoria about expropriation of land without compensation. My guest tonight is the newly elected Deputy Federal Chairperson, Ausi Refilwe Ntsheqe, who will help me understand how exactly the DA is approaching these and other questions of change. Let's go talk frankly to her. Welcome, Refilwe. Thank you so much for
and the listeners and the viewers for having me.
Really appreciate your time. Just in terms of the current ending mourning period, what did the DA do really to celebrate Mama Winnie?
I think there was various things that we've done, including the fact that the leader went to Orlando Stadium with lots of our members of parliament to also do a send-off to Mama Winnie along with South Africans. But I think one of the main things, I think I must speak on behalf of us women in politics. Mama was an inspiration for us. people like me are in politics today because you look at Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela. When I listened to her sitting in solitary confinement for over 400 days, befriending cockroaches, the pain of that makes you think we need to take the baton from Umama and carry on the fight for the voiceless. And in South Africa, I think the biggest of the voiceless is the 9.3 unemployed South Africans. And we have to continue that race, irrespective of what political party we are in.
Yeah, did you think your Congress was overshadowed by the mourning period? And did you guys actually consider to postpone your Congress to mark that particular mourning period?
Look, definitely it is a consideration, but when you look at the expenses of booking venues and the number of people and the logistics that had gone behind actually organizing a Congress, it was quite difficult to say we're going to move
But you did consider it?
It was absolutely a consideration for the DA, because that is the mother of the nation. You cannot belittle who she was.
Absolutely.
And what she
But
stood
why
for.
did you guys give Patricia de Lille a 3rd degree for attending a memorial service organized in Brantford?
I don't think we gave a 3rd degree. I think the point that the party is making, and I've been saying this to everybody, we absolutely welcome Patricia Mayor de Lille attending that. However, the federal leader was invited to exactly the same event. Because he couldn't make it, he deployed the provincial leader, who's also Patricia Kopani of Free State, to attend that event. So it's quite embarrassing to a political party when you find out one of your senior leaders is at an event. In fact, when the media contacted me about Mayor de Lille's attendance, I actually said, no, she's not going. You made a mistake. It's Patricia Kopani, Mayor Patricia Kopani, who is the provincial leader of the Free State. Only to later on see on the TV that it's actually Mayor de Lille.
I suppose people did not believe that, because at the same time as that was happening, you passed a resolution that looked like it was targeted at her, you know? It was even called the Patricia Clause or something to that extent. What is that about? I mean, did you need to pass a special resolution in order to be able to recall Mayor de Lille?
Let me finish first. Quickly, Mayor de Lille, all the party wanted to do is a courtesy call to say, please note I've been invited to a function by one of the other political parties. That's all. We know she used to sit next to Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela, so it makes sense that she pays tribute. That's all the party wanted.
So she's not in trouble?
She's not in trouble. I think people have exaggerated the issue.
But the de Lille clause is there. Just tell me quickly about that.
There is no de Lille clause. It's called a recall clause. What has happened when the party has been growing, we've realized not only from Mayor de Lille, but from various mayors within as we grow and start governing more municipalities. When we have challenges, we had problems with a mayor in George, we have problems with mayors in Hantam. We could not recall them. And I don't think it's something new, because the ANC recalls their mayors. Let's remember the Mfuleni mayor, who was recently exposed for alleged to have been having an affair with a 14-year-old girl, and also implicated in spending 1.8 million fruitlessly. We won't go into what he did. The ANC recalled him and put in another mayor.
But the trouble is you failed to recall de Lille. Is it an embarrassing situation there?
Because we didn't have the clause. However, it cannot be called a de Lille clause, because you cannot apply this particular clause retrospectively.
But is she implementing your mandate now as we speak in Cape Town?
Not only, we can, at the moment, we've got a disciplinary hearing going on. So you can't interfere in that process at the same time.
All right, it's fine. We'll talk about the diversity discussions after the break. We're talking to Ausi Refule, who is the Federal Deputy Chair of the DA. Stay tuned.
Very good morning to you, and thank you so much indeed for choosing Morning Live.
But I want to know the basic thing.
Griselda Lewis, SABC News, in Parktown, Johannesburg.
Zimbabwe, Mzwandile Mbeje, SABC News, Luanda, Angola.
Let's take a look at your market indicators.
Thanks for staying with Morning Live. Let's bring you your sports news.
Let's take a look at your satellite image.
Set the agenda for the day with Morning Live.
Typhoid outbreak that broke out in Zimbabwe's capital late last year has claimed the life of a 13-year-old girl in Harare's township of Mbare.
Most residents have put the blame on the Zimbabwean government for the debilitating economic situation.
There is no interest in the affairs of the city and the town, and really we have to do something about it.
One expert believes the Barclays Absa apartheid funding saga reeks of political factionalism. Yanni Rousseau
says things are not as they seem.
And the money, well, that was whisked out of the country.
Absa paid full value for the assistance. So from that perspective, I cannot see how it can be made out that Absa benefited.
JJ Tabane. You can follow our show on hashtag Frankly Speaking. You can also tweet us at JJ Tabane as well as at SABC News Online. Why was the diversity issue a topical issue towards the Congress? And secondly, would you say to me post the conference that the DA in general is at one about what this diversity really means?
Look, obviously the diversity clause has been adopted as one of our fourth values. In 2015, we adopted freedom, fairness and opportunity. This time we adopted diversity as a fourth value to the DA. Because we take it seriously that when we elect leaders and we have legislature members, whether it's parliament, legislatures or in different councils, we want to make sure that we have a diverse party. And I think to date, the DA has the most diverse members in any bench. On any political organization. So we wanted to take it further by putting it into one of our values system as something that we drive.
But it sounded like you wanted to avoid the race question by lumping other things that in a South African context are not uppermost of our minds when we talk about transforming the economy, transforming our society. For example, religion and other things that seems to obfuscate the matter. What people want to know is, can we rely on the DA for black economic empowerment, for example? They're not fudging that to say disabled and Muslim and all that. They're talking about whether or not the DA can champion the cause of black people.
Absolutely. You don't have to be black to champion the cause of black people, just as you don't have to be a woman to champion the cause of women. So you just have to believe in I mentioned 9.3 unemployed South Africans, and it's important that we have a proper economic system that talks to growing the economy so that those who are left behind and predominantly are black get to be carried into and play a pivotal role in the economy and contributing to it.
Let's talk about the race issue specifically, right? You're saying in your resolution that you don't want to deal with quotas. You want to use quotas,
no.
Right? Can you explain to me how you're going to do that? Because if you are saying to me, let's say, for example, in corporate South Africa now, 60%, right, of promotions and new appointments in corporate South Africa after 24 years are over 65% white, right? If you're going to change that, you got to set targets to say, let's say to corporate, if you are a government now, to say to corporate South Africa, listen, we want your employment equity targets must be X. So you must have so many black people by such and such a time. How can you do that without quotas?
I think let's start with the fact that the DA is a liberal party. We don't set quotas because that's actually an illiberal way of operating. I don't want to sit here as a national spokesperson of the DA because I'm a quota. I want to be here because I'm competent. So what we believe through the diversity cause is people must own the value, go out there and target, basically headhunt people who, one, align with our values and understand what the party is here to do. We fight corruption at all costs. So if you agree with what we do and you feel you want to belong in the DA, we do that. And you can see that organically we are beginning to transform the party so that it's more diverse. Look at 2016 in terms of our local governments. The municipalities where we govern, you've got Soli, you've got Herman Mashaba, and in those governments and all the other governments where we are, whether it's in opposition or in government mode, you can actually start seeing diversity coming through.
When you say organically, are you saying that transformation is not deliberate? In other words, if you are government, right now as you speak, the JSE is owned by 3% of black people. Some others say 20, but it's still little, right?
Yes.
To change that, you can't wait and hope for the best. You understand what I'm saying? People want to know that if they put you in government, you're going to say to white South Africa who are refusing to change, I want you to change by X time and with this kind of targets. Can you explain to me how you're going to let this happen naturally?
Look at the landscape of South Africa and look at the demographics of the country. When you look at your own organization, is it representative of what you see in the country? If not, then you need to make a change. So you need to adopt that diversity value yourself as a cooperative and say, I want my company to represent the demographics of the country which I operate within.
But I don't understand how you're going to monitor if you don't have targets. So, for example, let's say the DA takes over Tshwane, right? Yes. And in Tshwane, only 40% of suppliers there are black suppliers, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to change that? How are you going to monitor that if you want to increase that number, that if you don't have a target, and therefore quotas about we want 50% to be black suppliers and then the other 50 can be a mix?
Absolutely. Look, we always have national legislation that comes down. But when you look at even within our performance assessment, and I think we're the only organization that actually does performance assessment of our public representative, over and above being a national spokesperson, I'm a whip in the Gauteng legislature, and I'm responsible for the performance of my members, which is 23 members. One of the key things that they have to do is they look into their constituencies and they look at diversity. They set targets but they set them by themselves to say, when I look at the suburb or the constituency that I'm running, in order to transform my branch memberships, this is how much I need to bring it to become more diverse.
So therefore, you're not opposed to quotas. You're just saying you're not going to set them nationally.
You don't set quotas. That's illiberal. You rather target people and say, look at the dynamics. If you operate in a suburb where you say, predominantly most of the people in my constituency is a suburb which is predominantly white, you can't say I'm going to bring black people, then you're ferrying people in. But if I have Tembisa, I must make sure that Tembisa is represented in my branch structures because that's the demographics of my constituency.
Yeah, but the outcome of this organic or so-called natural progression. But it has proved
to work because when you look at our local government in terms of the diversity that is coming through the ranks, people that we are attracting, which is physically headhunting people to join the organization, which align with our values. You can already see the diversity.
But it didn't seem to work too well with the outcomes of your conference. Surely you'll agree with me that the way your federal executive is constituted now, right, is not the kind of picture of South Africa that you want.
But you are looking only at the top 6. Look broader at the bigger national leadership of the DA. We have
What's wrong with the top 6?
No, I'm saying, well, we can look at other components of diversity. There's 2 gay people on that federal structure. So people voted who are black, white, Indian, and colored, and they voted.
And it's not majority white. That structure, top 6.
Yes, no, but you are looking at the top 6. Yes, it's majority white. I'm the black woman in that structure.
Surely that must change if you're going to be appealing to South Africa.
We acknowledge that we want to have more transformation and more diversity going into future congresses. However, if you sit around the table and take the DA national leadership, in fact, we've got only one white provincial leader out of 9, and they compose part of the national leadership of the DA. Okay, I
want to talk a little bit after the break about BEE, affirmative action and employment equity. If I'm somebody who really wants to join the DA, but I'm worried about the fact that you're not going to pursue black empowerment, what will you say to me? But we'll talk about that after the break. We're talking to Ausi Refilwe Ntsege, who is the 3rd deputy federal chairperson of the Democratic Alliance. You can follow our show on hashtag Frankly Speaking. Tweet us at JJ Tabani at SABC News Online. Let's take a break.
Special assignment. Crime keeps the society in terror and pain. Why so?
If someone phones me, tells me, okay, look, he needs a silver, and I get you all driving, I'll take it.
What pushes normal people to be so hard, heartless, and brutally kill one another?
The other side of it could be more for their own psychological need. It might be part of a sexual fantasy that they have. It could be about power and control.
After proper investigation is followed, the perpetrator gets arrested.
It was part of the massive process. And ultimately, they were parents, I think justice is served.
Emotional scars remain.
We would pay any price to get him back, and
sad reality is that it's gone.
Special assignment. We unravel the truth every Sunday at 21:30.
Let's cross over live to Griselda Lewis, who is standing by at the arbitration hearings.
But I didn't think about it at the time that people could be dying.
Let's update your sports news.
Get all the dominating stories locally and globally on Newsroom every Monday to Friday from 9 a.m.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking with me on Khopotse JJ Tabani. Tonight we're talking about the DA and its approach to change. Briefly, I was refueling. If I'm somebody who doesn't know the details of the DA policy, I just want to understand what the DA says about BEE, affirmative action, employment equity. Briefly, Aus.
Basically, what the DA says, in terms of triple BEE, unfortunately, the scorecard is used only for certain score points and not the rest are applied. So people must start looking closely at the transfer of skills.
Okay.
Employment equity, let's look at if two people were approached for a job and one black and one white, equally qualified, obviously you need to do redress and take the black candidate first.
Okay.
But you can't take somebody who's not qualified for the job just because you're going to win redress with that person.
Yeah. But nobody has ever argued that in a BEE debates. Everybody has always said to have black people, that doesn't mean necessarily less skills, isn't it?
No, but I'm giving you the DA standpoint that when you go into employment equity, first of all, you look at the two people candidates before you, and then one must be previously disadvantaged. Maybe.
And there's no resistance in the DA for this BEE thing from your Congress?
No, there's a big resistance when you start applying BEE, but you don't look at all the
five elements.
The elements but unfortunately, it has not been applied correctly.
You mean by the government?
By the government in terms of how people score points for triple BEE.
Okay, on land now, the DA in your Congress, what did you agree on in terms of expropriation without compensation?
What we are saying is there's nothing wrong with Section 25, and what we still stand by is we still believe in the ownership of land by private individuals. The government has failed to do its own land audits and do a proper redistribution. In fact, if you look at the statistics, Western Cape has the highest distribution rate of 60% compared to the second highest province sitting at 10%. I won't even mention it, but it is an ANC-run province. And we are saying if you apply land distribution correctly within the confines of the Constitution, you are still able to distribute land to the people, particularly those who were dispossessed in the past.
The land economy runs into trillions. I think your leader actually estimated something like 4 trillion rands, which means that if you actually have to pay for land in order to redistribute it, you won't afford it because that's even way beyond the budget of the country. So I want you to make me understand how your policy is going to result in redress, because you've got 80% of land in the hands of white people, and
it's actually not true. Look at the latest
20 squashed in blacks. How are you going to redistribute
Look at the latest land audit that was released by the Department of Rural Development in terms of land. In fact, there's a lot of land which is owned by government, but they have not audited their own land. And if they audit that land, some of it is even in suburban areas. Start by redistributing government.
So your policy says don't touch those who own now. Is that not the case? If I own a farm, there's 30 hectares, I'm not using it, I just have a house there and then there's game farms running around.
Where we talk to land redistribution. Part of it goes with skills transfer, particularly in terms of agricultural land, where it's important that there's a skills transfer so that when you own the land doesn't remain fallow, so we can continue without having compromising food security.
Yeah. So do you think that, given what you are saying, and we don't have enough time to explore it all, you must come to my radio show so we can talk for 3 hours.
I will come.
But how are you going to connect with the EFF, right? in terms of coalition, when you are so poles apart on this thing, to a point where they were even saying they want to punish you because you didn't vote with them in Parliament.
We will never agree on land without expropriation, because what EFF is proposing is nationalizing of land. So ordinary South Africans, in fact, all South Africans must become tenants of the state according to the EFF policy. We want private ownership of land. So we're saying even those that were dispossessed in the past, people must own their land, whether it's tribal land, whether it's
But am I right
land.
to say you don't want your supporters, right, who own hectares and hectares of land to be touched? They must be left to own their land.
No, that's why I said we must.
But what's your message to them? Must they hold on to this 30 hectares of land? Must they, in terms of the DA policy, be comforted that nothing's going to happen to their farms? They can own.
But remember,
so many,
within the confines of the Constitution, there's actually a section that talks to expropriation of land without compensation, but it's the how. So you need to explore that clause.
So you're not against it, you're just saying how it's going to be done. It's where you question.
Compared to how it's been tabled. Look at Section 25 of the Constitution.
Can I assume safely
in terms of how it's actually talking about how that land should be expropriated?
Can I assume that then your coalition with the EFF is in danger? In other words, if they do what they are doing with Trollip now, to say vote with us or else, then you won't have a coalition, which means that the DA is going to the 2019 elections wanting to win outright, no coalitions.
No, look, we believe the future of South Africa is based on coalition governments. Whether we'll be in coalition with a government, with EFF, it's like saying we're going to predict the outcome of a pregnancy before a person is even pregnant.
So there's still a possibility that you can go into coalition.
Everybody goes into an election to win it outright. But after the election results, then you'll still consider a coalition.
But the land appropriation thing is not negotiable in your view?
No, it's not, because it's completely liberal.
We're going to have to leave it there. Unfortunately, we've run out of time completely. That was Frankly Speaking, coming to you live from the SABC in Auckland Park. Until we talk frankly again, may God bless you.